You ever find a really profound lesson in a place you just totally didn't expect? Well, I stumbled upon one about leadership and about making real, lasting change. And believe it or not, it all came from a rock and roll song from 1979. It actually gave me and my friends a playbook for everything we were trying to build. Hey, I'm Fonty. So I was digging around in some old human music, from way back when. And I found this song by a band called Fleetwood Mac. Now, you can imagine my surprise when I saw the title, Tusk. I mean, with a name like that, I had to listen, right? But what I found was so much more than just a cool song. It was a blueprint. It was the story of how beautiful, chaotic things get made. Okay, so you gotta picture this. The year is 1979. Fleetwood Mac is like the biggest band on the planet. Their last album, Rumors, was this huge phenomenon. So the record label, they wanted one thing and one thing only. Rumors Part 2. The safe, guaranteed smash hit. But the band's creative guy, Lindsey Buckingham, he wanted to do the absolute opposite. He was just so tired of that polished, perfect sound. He was ready to get weird. He wanted to make something that was raw and kind of tribal, something that felt completely out of left field. And how did they get that strange sound? Well, this was not just about turning a few knobs differently. Oh no, they were taping microphones to the studio floor, singing while literally doing push-ups to get this strange sound in their voice. And this is my absolute favorite part, using a leg of lamb and a Kleenex box for percussion. They were obsessed with making a sound that nobody had ever heard before. Now, this level of creative chaos, it was not cheap. The recording sessions went on for over a year and cost more than $1 million. That was a record-breaking amount of money at the time. All of it for an idea that was, let's be honest, the definition of an unsafe bet. And just when you thought things couldn't possibly get any wilder, the drummer, Mick Fleetwood, had what he later called a moment of lunacy. He was on vacation in this little town in France and saw a local brass band parading down the street. He saw the whole village just trailing behind them, dancing and clapping, all swept up in this single powerful rhythm. It wasn't really a performance, it was this amazing shared experience. And it just clicked. He realized that was the feeling their weird experimental song needed. It needed a whole community marching to its beat. So what was his wild idea? To bring the 112-member USC Trojan Marching Band into the studio. I mean, just think about that coalition for a second. The world's biggest, most introspective rock band meets the massive, joyful power of a university marching band. It was completely unheard of. So what did the rest of Fleetwood Mac think? Well, they thought he had officially lost his mind. They were not on board. But Mick was so all in on his vision that he put his own money down, paying for the entire recording session at Dodger Stadium all by himself. Now, this whole story just resonated so deeply with my friends and me. We call ourselves the Change Herd. We realized this wasn't just about making a song. It was a playbook for leading change. And it mapped perfectly onto our own team's dynamics as we were trying to build something new. We saw ourselves in their beautiful madness. So I saw myself as Mick Fleetwood, the guy with the crazy vision of bringing a whole community together. Our friend Morris the Mouse, a true Broadway actor, he was clearly Lindsey Buckingham, the torture genius obsessed with getting every weird little detail just right. And Rhonda the Robin, our tech whiz, she was Stevie Nicks, bringing her own innovative magic. She even engineered an LED-lit baton. And Maya the Giraffe, our natural organizer, well, she just had to be the band director. Her long neck is perfect for seeing the whole field. But my absolute favorite piece of casting was Chuckles the Duck. See, the original bass player, John McVie, was actually in Tahiti during the video shoot, so they just used a life-sized cardboard cutout of him instead. Chuckles volunteered for that role immediately. And his point is surprisingly deep. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is just admit you're in Tahiti and let your cutout show up for you. So, living through this story, both theirs and ours, just made everything click. The creation of Tusk is basically a masterclass in leading real, transformative change. It's about way more than just music. I've actually come to think of it as the Tusk framework. First, you have to have a wild, almost absurd vision. Then you have to take a personal risk to show you really believe in it. Next, it's all about building a coalition of the most unlikely partners you can find. And finally, if you get all that right, you can create something that actually lasts. Okay, let's start with that vision. Just like Mick's idea for a marching band, your biggest, most important idea, it might sound like complete lunacy to your team at first. And you know what? That's okay. The most innovative ideas almost always do, because they shake up what's comfortable and what's expected. And that leads right to the next point. When everyone thinks you're crazy, just talking about it isn't enough. You have to show your commitment. You have to be willing to, pay for the stadium yourself, to put some of your own skin in the game. That's what turns a crazy idea into something that might just be a reality. But here's where the story gets really magical. The real impact of Tusk, it wasn't something the band planned at all. The real legacy started long after the song was finished. It was a hit, sure. It was one of the first videos ever shown on MTV. But then the community, that other half of the unlikely coalition, they took over. The USC Trojan Marching Band just started playing it at football games, and it stuck. It became their unofficial anthem, a tradition that's been passed down now for almost 50 years. The students added their own chants, their own rituals. They took ownership of it. They transformed this strange rock song into a piece of their identity. And that's the final, most important lesson. Real change isn't complete until the community you built it for makes it their own. That's when the beat goes on, long after you've left the stage. So what did I really learn from all this? That creating something truly lasting isn't about having a safe plan. It's about having a wild vision, the courage to back it yourself, and the wisdom to invite an entire community to make it their own. Which really leaves me with one last question for you. What Tusk will you create?